Hey guys, welcome back. AuraBomb here, bringing you another discussion video. Today we're going to be looking at my personal top 10 cards from the new Silver Lance and Jet Black Spirit that just got revealed in Japan relatively recently. I want to talk about this for a while. I've been looking at these cards, stewing over these cards. I kind of like what's going on here. The trainers are incredibly more impactful than the Pokemon are in this set. So instead of making a whole like 1 hour video looking at every single card, I'm just going to go ahead and jump to the cards that I feel like are necessary. The top 10, if you will, just because there wasn't really that much to talk about. But let's go ahead and talk about the cards that I feel like are interesting. I have like my little list right here. No script, just a list, because you know I'm always off the cuff. Let's go ahead and look at the cards that I think are worth mentioning first. First things first, we'll go ahead and go straight to the Ice Rider, man. Because I think the Ice Rider is okay. I feel like it has potential, especially combined with Melanie. We'll talk about Melanie later. But Ice Rider Calyrex, 320 HP, weak to metal, which kind of sucks, but you know, it's fine. Our format's very not type dependent as it used to be. There's like a huge triangle, you know, like fire decks are good, water beats the fire, metal beats the water, etc, etc. Like psychic beats the fighting, fighting beats the Eternus, Eternus beats the psychic. There's a lot of like type triangles going on in the format. So I'm not too interested in I'm not too concerned about the weakness. Plus it's water deck, right? Usually you can play other water attackers that are not weak to metal. But that aside, Emperor Ride is Mind Jack, 30 damage for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. We're in a different format. Mind Jack isn't nearly as good as it used to be. It's 2 colors though, which means that like you can play like tech energies. You can throw this in decks if you wanted to. Like if you want to put a random stage 1 for a water attacker, you technically could. Although the attack isn't probably not strong enough for that to be the case. Then you have Max Lance here, 10 damage, and you may discard up to 2 energy cards from this Pokemon. If you do this attack, it's 120 more damage for each water energy discarded in this way, which means that you can hit 250. 250 is okay. 250 deals with tag teams, which is nice. Or deals with Pikarom, I should say. More importantly, you do Emperor Ride into Max Lance. The reason why I don't like this whole 2-hit KO strategy is because there's not really a way to, like, you're doing this knowing you're gonna get knocked out, right? You use Emperor Ride, then you're probably gonna get knocked out the following turn. So you're using Max Lance to get rid of all your energy. So like at the very least, you're using up, you're taking as much advantage of this card as you can before it gets knocked out, which is cool. But you're losing a 3-prizer in the process. It's good if you're trading with another 3-prizer, but it's not amazing for you, especially if they have any sort of healing. And we already have Cheryl in this format. We still have Mallow and Lana, etc., etc. So it's okay. I think it's okay. I'll have to give it some testing. Like we have Melanie, which is a water it's like a fair welder. So fair welder in the format does make me happier to try out these low energy attacking water attackers. I guess in theory, if you have like a draw support line of Pokemon like Cinccino or something like that, you could go like, you can do like, what's it called? Melanie into Cheryl, into Melanie, into Cheryl over and over again. It seems really difficult and really not consistent. So I'm gonna keep this in the, you know, potential side of things before I consider it in like my top 10 cards in the set, because I want to test with it to see if I feel like this deck could have potential for that kind of strategy. And then other cards that, you know, I want to talk about, and this is just for the Togekiss lover inside of me, is the gloves. We have a whole bunch of new gloves in this format. Fireproof gloves, break gloves, and we have like the other grass ones as well. These essentially let you do 30 damage to the specific type of Pokemon you're attacking. It's a choice band, but only to specific type of Pokemon. This is not good. It's not good, but it's really interesting in formats where, you know, oh, this one deck is really good, and if I had a little bit more damage, I could do an Oko to it. And being able to Oko things is really nice, especially after weakness. I'm trying to think of some really solid examples. Let's see, fireproof gloves. So with the damage on your opponent's active fire Pokemon is increased by 30. So the only example that I had recently was Milotic versus Victini. The reason why I like this card in particular, because I play Aurora Box Togekiss, right? And I have a lot of fun with that deck, but dealing with fire is really annoying because you really don't have a solid way to Oko fire attackers with only one Aurora energy involved, and being able to move 2 metal energies. Milotic does 110, and let me see if I can pull this up for you guys. But I know that Milotic is very short from being able to deal with let's see, Milotic V. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, here it is. I know Milotic is short from being able to Oko Victini. Let's take a look at what it does real quick. It is 150. Yeah, so 150 means that you're 20 damage short after weakness to being able to Oko Victini. But being able to use something like a fireproof glove is useful for that exact thing. Now, obviously, we have Vitband, which also does the same thing in that exact matchup, unless, of course, they have something like Big Charm. So I like the concept of these cards, because the concept of these cards will help you deal with bad matchups or being able to Oko things that you feel like would really help your overall, what's the word I'm looking for? It will help your overall consistency in winning those matchups. And yeah, I like that a lot. That's all I really have to say about that. I think the gloves are bad, but I really like the idea of being able to tech these gloves in decks like Togekiss, because Togekiss can search them out, obviously. So if you have any Aurora Pokemon that are short from Okos, you slap on the gloves on them, and boom, bam, shablam, you're good to go. And then last card I really want to talk about is actually something I'm really interested in testing in the future, and that is this Celebi. We got Celebi VMAX here. First of all, it's a Celebi, which is already amazing, but it has a really cool ability, which once during your turn you may heal 20 damage from each of your grass Pokemon. I like this, because the whole idea is that you can stack a whole bunch of Celebi on the board and attack, heal, attack, heal, attack, heal, Malon, attack, heal, attack, heal, attack, heal. It's for only 2 energies. 130 is not bad. And then search your deck for up to 2 Pokemon, put them into your hand, and shuffle your deck. So you have this built-in consistency when it comes to setting up your board with Pokemon, which means that every time you play something like a research or something like that, you're drawing less Pokemon and more stuff that you actually need to be drawing into, which is excellent. I think that's really, really cool. You can also pair this with other grass Pokemon. My first thought was Orbeetle VMAX, because then you could just have these whole lot of, like, you can have your board full of Orbeetles and Celebis. Heal the Orbeetles, use things like Lanas, Cheryls, etc, etc. Attack with this to set up your Orbeetles faster, and then you can just swing, like just play a bunch of switching cards, a bunch of escape boards, the works, and switch between your Celebis and your Orbeetles, and you can attack with both of those guys until you win the game. Obviously, you just take a hard L to fire. But I mean, they both have colorless energy, so you could technically use Weak Guard energy. Weak Guard energy sucks. So overall, I mean, you can play Attack Launcher in this deck too, right? Because you're already thinning your deck from Pokemon, which means Attack Call things like Sinlin, and yeah, you can use Sinlin. You could use Guzmahala to search out the stadium to get your Pokemon faster if you need to, if you want to, of course. And Guzmahala could also give you the Weak Guard energy, etc, etc. You know what it is. You know what I'm talking about. So I really like the idea of the Celebi, just because I know the concept, that kind of concept has never been that strong in the Pokemon TCG, especially in this format where things are hitting like near 300 damage every turn. So I'm not super confident in the concept, which is why it's not my top 10, but I do really love the idea of something like this. But anyways, let's go ahead and talk about the rest of the cards. There shouldn't be too much to talk about. This is not in any particular order. I just kind of want to talk about what I like. But we're going to start with Cresselia here, because Cresselia actually goes really well into the other psychic type part of this section that I want to talk about. Cresselia has a 120 HP basic, 1 retreat, has Crescent Growth, which will search your deck for up to for a psychic energy card and attach it to one of your Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. If you go second on your first turn, you may attach up to 3 psychic energy to one of your Pokemon instead. So obviously really reminiscent of Volk, except unlike Volk, you have to attach all 3 energies to one Pokemon, which is a lot weaker, honestly, because that means the boss is very detrimental to you, especially since you have to go second for this effect to really work. So obviously, your opponent will probably have a Pokemon ready to attack, and then they can just boss KO whatever you attach energies to. But being able to accelerate those energies is overall just nice as well. its second attack doesn't matter, but it's mostly important because we have a lot of really good psychic attackers. We're going to be talking about Calyrex here soon, but there's also things like Dragapult and Mewtwo and stuff like that. So obviously with the large amount of really good psychic attackers in the game, and the fact that some of the best decks in format are weak to psychic at the moment, being Urshifu, having a nice psychic type accelerator is good. I personally don't think it's necessary in Calyrex decks, but I could see its usefulness, especially being like a single prize attacker, which pairs well with the Calyrex archetype, because Calyrex does put a bunch of energies on the board. Its attack does 90 more damage if you have 5 or more energies in play. So obviously being able to hit a 120 with this guy, being a single prizer as well in a VMAX deck, not bad at all. So it could be very useful. I like it for that reason. But we might as well go ahead and talk about Calyrex, because that way we can talk about the rest of the cards that support Calyrex in this set that make it really good. But Calyrex is a nutty card. we're entering a Calyrex meta, I'm assuming. We'll see how good this card is, because Eternus is a thing, but luckily we have a lot of counters to Eternus. We have that new Zapdos, Galarian Zapdos is coming out. We also have the new Stadium that's in the set too that really nerfs Eternus. So we'll talk about that in a second. But of course you can't really play the Stadium in this deck, so you have to focus on the Zapdos. But regardless, it's a pretty good thing to focus on. Calyrex is kind of nutty. Its pre-evo doesn't really do much. It is kind of nice in the sense, like, if you want to play your own Stadium, you can stop your opponent from playing the Stadium the following turn, because your opponent can't play any special energy cards or Stadium cards from their hand, using Shadow Mist for 1 energy. So it's a nice way to slow down the game if you're looking to keep one particular Stadium on the board. There is a Stadium in the set I'm not going to be talking about, but it does 2 damage counters if they attach an energy to it. That's not a Psychic type that's not Psychic type energy, so it could be a way to spread damage. Not really great, but it is a good way to bump Path of the Peak, which is the good Stadium we'll talk about here shortly. But Astral Barrage, put 5 damage on 2 Pokemon. This is never going to happen because it's 3 energies on the V, so that's probably not going to happen. But it could be useful because of Calyrex's ability here. Once during your turn, you may attach a Psychic Energy card from your hand to one of your bench Pokemon, then draw 2 cards. So it has to be attached to a bench Psychic Pokemon, and then you draw 2 cards. It's not like Trade, because it's not as consistent as Trade is. I like to think of this card as energy acceleration with a bonus, right? So being able to attach Psychic Energy from your hand is great. The problem is, like, it's not as good late game, because obviously you're going to run out of energies unless you play something like Energy Retrieval or anything of the likes, which is a possibility, I suppose, but it's not great. So there's that. But this card's kind of nutty because attaching it, because this is not once per turn, right? I mean, it's once per turn per Pokemon. It's not like a hard once per turn, like things like the Denny and whatnot. So being able to set up a whole bunch of Calyrex, accelerate a whole bunch of energy, and its attack does 10 damage and 30 more damage to each Psychic Energy attached to your Pokemon in play is really strong. It is really strong. Because you can ramp up. It's very much similar to Dark Box, Rayquaza GX kind of deck, where you can really accelerate a lot of energies, play things like Turbo Patch to get them out of the discard pile if you want to, attach them to like things like your Cresselias that we were talking about earlier. I can't really think of too many other Psychic Pokemon you'd be playing in this deck, but Turbo Patch does work on non-evolved Pokemon or non-VMAX Pokemon. I don't exactly remember. All I know is that it does work on Vs, but it doesn't work on VMAX. So I guess you could keep some Calyrex's unevolved Turbo Patch onto them, evolve them, use the ability to accelerate energies, maybe put energies in your hand and just focus on the ability itself. But obviously, if you can get, like, how many energies do you need on board for this card to be like scary? You can start 2 at KOing things with like 5 energies on board, right? Because that's like 150, 160 damage. You can start 2 at KOing things once you get 5 energies on board. Now 5 energies is a lot of energies, to be fair. Oh boy. Oh, good job, AuraBomb. Really professional. Just forgetting your charger and having to get up mid-recording. We'll see if this will still work. Hopefully I can edit this out. If I don't, haha, go me. Anyways, 5 energies is a lot, honestly, to ask. Like, it's a full Pokemon-based setup. We could always heal with the likes of Mallow and Lana and whatnot, but it's not perfect by any means. But it's still, like, it's a really consistent deck because you'll be drawing a lot. That's the whole idea, right? You draw a bunch of cards, you set up your Pokemon, You have lots of energies on the board, you attack, eventually you'll ramp up enough energies. And we have cards like Experience Share and whatnot to keep the energies on the board too. So it's not like the energies are going to be gone once you take a knockout. Just set up your whole board full of Experience Shares, and then one Calyrex will, that you'll never lose energies that way, right? Unless they play something like Field Blower, which, not Field Blower, but Tool Scrapper, which might see more popularity because there are some pretty strong tools now in the format. Experience Share being really strong in this deck in particular. So Shadow Rider Calyrex, favorite Pokemon in the set by far, I'd say. Then the next Pokemon that I like the most has got to go to Zeraora, which has some pretty strong effects going on here. It's another Rapid Strike Pokemon, so it gets all the Rapid Strike support. 210 HP is not bad, 2 retreats kind of meh. First of all, that artwork is kind of crazy. I really like Zeraora as a Pokemon I'm finding. Like, I just love the way it looks. I like how it's just like a tall Sonic character. It's got Crossfist, which does 100 damage. If any of your other Rapid Strike Pokemon use an attack during the last turn, this attack does 160 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. 160 damage is a lot of damage. It is insane. It's not really fair either. It's kind of upsetting that they haven't reprinted a Mew for us yet, because we need some sort of bench barrier for the next format, dude. You pair this with Urshifu. I mean, you're probably not going to be playing this as its own deck, because the first attack, 3 energies for 100 damage by itself, is really not good. So you need to have a Rapid Strike Pokemon to use alongside it. I'm assuming you just play it with Urshifu, because Urshifu is good. 150 for 1 energy is really good. And then you combo that into Crossfist, which is 100 damage, which is 250, into 160 on the bench. That's really strong. And then you finish things off with Rapid Strike Urshifu's spread damage for 120 on 2 Pokemon. It just seems like it builds itself, right? Like, it's not that hard to pull off. So that's really cool. I mean, there's not really much else to talk about. This card just pairs well with Rapid Strike. Is there any other Rapid Strike Pokemon that kind of matter? None that I can think of. I mean, there's Blaziken. I guess it pairs well with Blaziken as well, if you want to play Blaziken Zeraora. Blaziken VMAX being in the previous set from this, which all comes. By the way, this is the last set, so that we pretty much know exactly what's going to be in our set now, in our set that comes out in June, which is good. That means we know pretty much everything. And then the last Pokemon I want to talk about, which is kind of like a cop-out, because I don't technically count this in the top 10 because we're not getting this in our English set, but it's worth talking about anyways. And that is not you, Mr. Drowsy. You got to calm down with those fingers, dude. It's actually this guy, Gallerian Rapidash. Beautiful card, by the way. But it's got a really strong attack for 2 energies, which means this pairs well in not only the Calyrex deck we were just talking about, Ghost Rider Calyrex, because you can put things, not only does it pair well in the Calyrex deck, but it's only 2 energies, so if you can accelerate energies in any deck, this is a great card for it. I'm really excited about testing this out in something like Togekiss as well. Put damage cards on one of your opponent's Pokemon until it only has 100 HP remaining. In a VMAX format, that's kind of insane. Hitting 100 damage after this is not bad at all. It is only 210 HP, so if you are hitting into a VMAX, they're probably going to KO you in a return, but you pretty much get a guaranteed return KO on the VMAX. It's great for decks that can't 2-hit KO VMAX decks. There's a few of them out there. This is also really cool in the Ice Rider deck as well, because you can actually put lots of things in range of Emperor Ride or the Max Lance by putting them in 100 damage. But this is good in any deck that needs to put things in range of 100 damage. It also has Psychokinesis, which does 30 damage for each energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. Could be useful, once again, in Calyrex if you want to put more damage on the board than leaving something at 100. Could be nice, but overall, Libra Horn is insanely strong in a VMAX format in particular. Obviously, it's not good against any other deck because 100 damage, most things can 2-hit KO things that are not VMAXs, so that's not going to be a huge deal. But the Togekiss in my brain makes me think this card's going to be crazy, especially if you play with Bronzong. I'm a little bit more afraid of like Togekiss Bronzong in future formats that don't have Mew, because Bronzongs are just big targets for Urshifu. But being able to set this up with against Urshifu is really nice, putting things in range. It also has a fighting resistance too, which is good. So I'm thinking that like because Togekiss resist and like it doesn't even like get 2-hit KO'd by Urshifu, Rapidash but Togekiss will be fine against Urshifu just in general. That's my thought process. But that's a different story. We're not talking about that. We're talking about this card. This card is really strong. That's all I really have to say about it. Like, it just pairs well in a lot of decks that have the ability to accelerate energies, that have the ability to move energies. Like you can play this in Melanie, which I guess we can go ahead and talk about Melanie now, because I've been saying that name a lot but never really explaining what it does. It's just a fair welder. Attach water energy from discard pile to one of your Pokemon V, then draw 3 cards. So obviously you can accelerate onto the Gallerian Rapidash, you can accelerate onto Ice Rider, and then draw 3 cards. And it's from the discard pile as well, which means it's way more live throughout the game than Welder is. Because Welder, you're focused on always having the energy in your hand, which means you play either a high energy count or a high stadium count that you don't really want to play, because the stadium is good, but like, it's only good because you have Welder, right? This is consistent throughout the game, and it pairs well with these lower energy attacking water Pokemon. So we can actually see some Frostless, some decks that don't play Frostlass anymore in things like the Inteleon and whatnot, because Inteleon can just play cards that can help disrupt energies, and then play Melanie to like spike out into an attack in some turns, which is great, because I don't like playing Frostlass. I also don't like playing a million energies to make Frostlass good. So having access to Melanie is excellent, especially since you don't need to land the Melanie to like play the game. If you whiff the Melanie, that's fine. You just keep doing your thing and you'll be fine. So it's really cool. I do like that a lot. Now for the cards that are really good in Calyrex, in particular, let's go ahead and talk about, alrighty, that's not what I want to do, Fog Crystal. Fog Crystal is insane. It's just another reason why Calyrex is going to be nutty. Like this card, why does it exist? Not really sure. It's kind of insane. Search your deck for a psychic Pokemon, basic psychic energy, reveal and put it into your hand. Boom. You search your Cresselia, you search your Calyrex, Ghost Rider V. You can search Gallerian Rapidash, and then you can search the energy. Use the energy to attach and draw, and keep going from there. Really good card. Not really much else to say about it. I guess it's good in Dragapult, because Dragapult needs this as well. Like any psychic Pokemon, any psychic deck will like this card, right? That's all there is to it. If you play psychic and you use psychic energies, you love this card, which is great for consistency. Makes me happy because Dragapult has always been one of my favorite decks. Also like the idea of playing Dragapult and Calyrex together in one deck as well, because obviously Calyrex's attack is only good if you have a lot of energies on board, but Dragapult's attack is insane all the time. So being able to pair the two together is going to be really fun for me. And yeah, also I forgot to mention the gloves. We have a grass one and a dark one as well. Boom, easy money. Anyways, moving on. What is next? There's only 2 more cards I need to talk about. 3 more cards I need to talk about. One of them is this beautiful card, which is going to be a pain for many people. Imposing Helmet. When a Pokemon this card is attached to is your active Pokemon and is damaged by an opponent's attack, choose an energy attached to the attacking Pokemon and return it to your opponent's hand. Wow. Which means when they attack, they end their turn by forcing themselves to put an energy back into their hand. That's so strong in a format like this that's forced, where manual attachments are really important. Think about things like Rapid Strike Urshifu, which if they don't keep that manual attachment attached, they can't attack the following turn with their spread attack. Think about, what are some other decks? The Calyrex we were just talking about, right? Obviously, besides the discard attack, that first attack is kind of annoying for them, because like when you play Calyrex, the Ice Rider I should say, you really want to start attaching to the other ones in the bench. So there's that. What else is really annoying? I guess like any sort of deck that doesn't have any acceleration just hates it, right? Even cards like Zero Aura hates it, because like they'd rather just be able to switch between attackers, and being able to discarding their energies is kind of annoying for them, especially since it goes to their hand and not the trash, which means they can't Metal Saucer it. So it's gotta be really annoying, right? Like what else is really annoying? What's really good at the moment? Fire decks don't mind because of Welder, and Calyrex doesn't mind because of its ability, right? So like you're just kind of fueling their fire. It could be slightly disruptive, but it's not the worst thing in the world, right? I mean, whatever. It's good enough. It's good enough to where I feel like it could be really strong in a lot of matchups. Think Dragapult, think Urshifu. Some really strong decks in the format. I really hate having to keep. It's almost similar to hitting a Hammerheads, not in the sense that they're losing resources, but in the sense that you're putting them behind a turn. and it's on a tool, which means they're forced to find something to get rid of the tool, or they have to boss or escape rope it. Now, obviously, we're in a format where like bossing and escape roping, not the hardest thing to do in the world, but it's pretty intense nonetheless, because you're forcing them to do that, which means that either they're drawing less cards, they're losing some sort of consistency, or they have to take the energy back to the hand, which is not great for them. All right, what's next? So check it out. This guy's really cool. Discard your hand and search your deck for up to 2 trainer cards, reveal them and put them in your hand, and shuffle your deck. Now this card at first is kind of like, okay. You can search for like a quick ball and draw cards with the Dene or Crobat, but it's way stronger than that if you build your deck around it. It reminds me a lot of greens, right? You discard your hand and search your deck for, it's like, okay, so here's the way I picture this card, right? It's like green and research together. It's like playing a green deck, but you can use abilities, because you can use this card to search for Pokemon to draw you more cards, and then combine that with the fact that you're getting a free trainer in the process as well, right? Discard your hand, search your deck for the 2 trainer cards, reveal them, put them in your hand. So in order for this to work, you need to play something like Kricketune. So Kricketune being able to draw you that 3rd card, so that you can use Quick Ball, discard whatever you draw, and then you can play the other item card that you put in your hand, whether it is something useful to the game at the moment, or if it's just a card you can slap down. Maybe it's like an energy spinner to put an energy into your hand, etc, etc. Maybe a stadium card, because it's any 2 trainer cards, right? And then you combine that with either the Dene, Crobat, or any other way that you have to draw more cards. Think of like Cinccino, stuff like that. There seems to be a lot of potential in a card like this, and if you're looking for a deck to play more research, like the first thing that comes to mind for me is Mad Party. Mad Party would love this card because it is more dump and draw for them, so that's excellent, and everybody loves dump and draw, right? What are some other good examples of this card? I was thinking about playing this in any kind of deck, really, that plays Kricketune. I was playing Togekiss in my Kricketune. I was thinking this card could be interesting, because it could get you more Pokemon search through Evo Incense or etc. And then you just draw more cards. Maybe it can get you this last card we're going to be talking about, Path to the Peak, which will help close out some games. And then you pair this with Marnie. It's kind of insane. So Path to the Peak is going to be very, very bad, but it's really good. It's one of the best cards in the game. The same says any Pokemon with the rule box has no abilities, which is nutty. Which is absolutely nutty, because it turns off everything. The reason why cards such as Power Plant has seen less and less play in format is because Power Plant only works on GXs, which is just a Dene. But now we have Vs, and the Vs are also good at drawing you cards and being consistent. Think Kricketune V, think Crobat, think Eldegoss, etc, etc. This turns off all the cards. Every single card. Guys, throw away in your throw away your power plants. Who needs secret rare power plants anymore? Throw away your silent labs. Maybe not. Silent labs are still pretty good. Throw those all away, dude. Get your Path to the Peaks. It's time to peak up, bro. So this obviously, like Path to the Peak plus Reset Stamp sounds really scary. Path to the Peak plus Marnie sounds really scary. In a format where you need to draw cards and need to use your abilities, and you're turning off things like Calyrex, Eternatus, Calyrex, Eternatus, Zacian, Zamazenta. This card is a godsend for a lot of decks that want to be more control-like, or play at their own pace, more like, right? Obviously, I was talking about Togekiss earlier and how this is amazing for me. I can play essentially a greens Togekiss if I wanted to, thanks to this card existing. So that's really cool. Obviously now, and we're losing Swell soon, so when we're gonna have a year of this card with no Swell in format. We're also losing Marshadow as well to discard this card. And let's not even talk about the fact that Empoleon V exists that turns off the abilities of non-rule box Pokemon. So this combined with Empoleon sounds like a nightmare of a deck to deal with in general, because you're turning off things like Jirachis and whatnot. Also, let's remember this thing turns off things like Coco Prism, so Coco Prism is no longer a problem. Prism cards in general. This card's going to be a menace in expanded. I don't even see how expanded is going to survive with this card existing. But yeah. That is my list of cards. I want to keep this around 30 minutes, so I did. Let me know if you guys can think of anything else that's really, really good in this set. I'm really excited for this set, because I'm just excited to see how the new formats shake up. I think Calyrex is great. I also don't think Calyrex is so good that it's going to be like a deck that's so threatening to deal with, you know what I mean? Because it takes a while to ramp up. And if you can accelerate past them before they ramp up enough damage, you're in a really good spot. Because once again, they have to get a lot of Pokemon down. But they do have added consistency. They have Quick Ball, they have the Fog Crystal, they have like Pokecom, because they're going to be playing a lot of Pokemon, right? They're playing at least 8 of these dudes, maybe like 2 Crystalias, and then that's not counting any other support Pokemon they might be playing as well. So since they're playing such a high amount of Pokemon, Pokecom obviously works. And obviously they do draw a lot of cards thanks to their ability as well. So I don't know, we'll see what happens. I can't wait to give it a test in the future. We pretty much know what decks are going to be coming out, so I might do some testing. We'll see like that. Also, another card that's just fun to talk about. I guess we might as well talk about it because I know I'm going to get comments about this card. Let's talk about the Blissinators, bro. The big boy Bliss. Big boy Bliss. Look at this guy. 250 HP on a V. Not bad. Look at that fat egg. Look at that fat egg. Whenever you attach energy from this hands to this Pokemon, without special conditions. Blissey Bomber. 10 damage to attack does 30 more damage to each energy attached to this Pokemon. After doing the damage, you may attach up to 3 energy cards from your discard pile to this Pokemon. So obviously, it's kind of weak to start with, but it ramps up. But it also has to be from your discard pile, which means that it's got a really bad early game and a pretty mediocre mid game. It's only good in the end game, but to get to the end game, you have to have a decent mid and early game first. You know what I mean? Because Blissey Bomber, like, what do? You play this on Welder. You attack for 3 energies, turn 1. That you do like 100 damage, and then you also have to somehow have 3 energies in your discard pile that early, and then you're hitting the following turn for like 190 damage. So, and that 190 damage is not even that good. Like 190 plus 100 is not even a KO on a VMAX, right? You're only doing 290 at that point. So if you think about it like that, this card's not that great. It's got a really bad early and mid game, and remember, things have to go perfectly in order to hit that 290 number. Yeah. It's not like you can play triple on this guy. So the only good thing is that it's a colorless Pokemon, so you can play things like powerful energy, so you can bump that up. Technically, if you find 1 powerful energy in the process, you are hitting 320. But then if you're playing powerful energy, oh wait a minute, you can technically attach special energies from the trash. So technically, you may attach up to 3 energy cards from your discard pile to this Pokemon. That's pretty nice, actually. If you can get the powerful energy in the discard pile, you can attach them afterwards. It's not bad, but it's still not great. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit and lie to your face and act like this card's great. It's not that amazing, but maybe I'll be proven wrong. You never know. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.